Yeah, I loved doing this. I want to do it again.
We had to do like the scale, how big everything's going to be, and we had to do maths. At first we got it all wrong, but we had to start again, and it was good after that.
It was quite different than normal classwork, so it was actually ringing people, talking on the phone, doing things that you wouldn't actually do in school, and it was like being in a job.
There is a space for every member of the family.
They looked at the impact on native wildlife, the impact on the people around living there, so the people across the road, what plants were going to be taken down, and that sort of looking at just what sort of impact it would have on nature and the long-term impact. Definitely finding out the perimeter and the spaces and the heights, the widths of all of the different components in the skate park. So figuring out how dense it would be, how much concrete we would need, and all of those different calculations that we had to figure out. So we thought it would be a great solution to build a skate park that's quite local, because the skate park that's closest to here is Seaford, but that's about an hour's bike ride away. So we thought it would be really, really great to have a skate park locally.
So did you collect any data in relation to this? I might have missed that. Oh yeah.
And so we're trying to, I suppose, as a site, better prepare our students. So we're trying to give them as, I suppose, legitimate an experience as they possibly can. So that's where the industry comes in. So rather than me as a teacher coming up with an airy-fairy problem that they might possibly see somewhere at once in their life, this is like a real-life industry problem that's been, I suppose, pitched to them by an industry which actually impacts on them as well. So I think by having a local industry, it's helped them, because obviously it's their community and their lives as well, so they can see the real impacts. So we were trying to pull in a lot of the ecosystems components, which in the pictures didn't come across, but in a lot of their assessment tasks it has. So the engineering and the tech has been perfect in terms of them doing scales and their concept models and things like that. And the maths was just natural with their data analysis and collection, and also I suppose their budgeting and costing as well. And the science, I suppose, was behind the scenes, and we just didn't really flesh it out as well as we probably could this time. But I think we've learnt from that and definitely will next time.
We asked them to consider how they could activate places in Morphett Vale that would be usable to a whole range of community members, not just themselves. They have to consider a whole range of things, and that's what made this project so complex. You know, everything from community engagement to the actual design, and then the elements that go behind that. By asking them to do something like this, it gives them a sense of exactly the work that goes into developing a place. So we really wanted to teach them as well that the city of Onkaparinga has people in it that don't just mow the lawns. We wanted to show them that it's a real professional organisation, and that they can have a real good career opportunity in somewhere like City of Onkaparinga.
The Promise Tree, I think, was one that was certainly very achievable. It had a very low budget, and I really enjoyed how they sought to use students to help fabricate it, receive assistance from artists to build it, and utilising scrap metal from a local supplier, so the carbon usage on that was quite low, and also that it was a great activator for that site. So the War Memorial site often gets activated quite heavily around Anzac Day and things like that, but not so much through other days. So this would actually put something in that site that would activate it throughout the year. I think we got a lot out of it as well. It certainly challenged us when we went to present to the students and had to get across some pretty big concepts and ideas in a 10-minute time slot, and to see what they've actually picked up from that and how they've drawn on from that, and then come up with their own concepts and proposals, and then delivered that in a concise process. And it was good to see some of the students who actually identified, actually we didn't work well together all the time, but then how they problem solved and got through that, which is the same we have to do it. We might have problems within teams or with the community, and how do you work through that? For them to put on our hat and be the ones trying to actually work out, how do we do this? What does the community want? What questions do we need to ask, and how do we go about that? And then how do they then problem solve to go, well, what's appropriate? And we were able to take learnings from that. And some of the concepts that I've seen today, it's like, you know, speaking with other people within our team saying, you know, these are some really good ideas, we should investigate these and see if they're feasible for the future.